Well, it's time to say happy trails to this old bathroom. It was built in 1995 and is looking pretty old and tacky. I'm going to do a complete update and take everything out. All the tile, all the plumbing, all the countertops, all the lights, the shower, everything, and start all over. The bathtub is not going to be changed, so first I need to tape down some plastic and some cardboard to protect the surface to make sure it isn't scratched during construction. I also need to put up some plastic sheeting to make sure all the dust stays here in the bathroom. If dust gets out into the rest of the house, I will be scolded. The next step was to take off the tile around the bathtub. I used an air hammer to do this because the tile was on a mortar bed with wire in it. The wire made it difficult to get the tile off, but the air hammer worked quite well. I took off the old shower door and walls and then took off the tile around the end of the tub inside the shower. After that, it was time to take off all the tile in the shower itself. This was a bigger job because there's so much tile to take off. And as before, there was wire in the mortar bed that the tile was set on. To do that, again, I had to use the air hammer to get it off. Sometimes, though, a plain old-fashioned sledgehammer did the trick. As you can see, there is no drywall behind the areas that had mortar and wire. I'm going to have to put new drywall up in all those sections before the project is over. The next step was to take the tile and the underlayment off the floor of the bathroom. I took everything off down to the subfloor so it's ready for the new tile to go back on. The old shower had a fiberglass shower pan at the bottom. It was hard to keep clean and sometimes got mold on it, so I wanted to take the whole thing out. There was quite a bit of dry rot under where the shower pan had been. I had to cut out quite a bit of the subfloor to make sure I had all the dry rot taken out, and then put down new flooring to make sure everything was clean and dry and strong. I also extended the frame around the bathtub out about 3.5 inches so it came flush with the edge of the cabinets. This is the concrete backer board that I'm going to put down on the floor underneath the tile to make sure there's a solid floor. I framed in the step for the shower and got ready to change out the plumbing for both the shower and for the tub. Both valves have to be changed out. Here's where I framed in the shower niche that will be a little shelf when I'm all done. I put in a new drain for the shower and had to make sure it was the exact right height for the new shower pan and tile. I put in the new valve for the bathtub along with the new copper pipes to make sure everything was new. One of the biggest projects in this remodeling was making a new shower pan. To do this, I first had to put concrete backer board in the bottom and sides of where the shower pan was going to be, taped all the seams, and then put thin set on all of them to make sure that they would be waterproof. The next step was to actually pour the shower pan itself. This required mixing up all of the mortar for the mortar bed and packing it down, making sure that all the slopes were the right angle so that the water would drain properly down to the drain. With the new tub valve and copper plumbing in, it's time to start on the drywall. I put the drywall around the bathtub first and then extended it over into the shower area. Once the drywall was up, the next step was to put the drywall tape and drywall compound on all the seams, around the windows, around the shower niche, around every joint in the drywall. I also put concrete backer board around the edge of the tub frame to seal it up and make sure it was ready for tiling. At this point, all the walls are up, all the drywall is up, everything's ready for tile. But before the tile can go up, I first need to put on a waterproof membrane to prevent any water from leaking through the tile onto the drywall. This is called Red Guard. It goes on like paint, but dries like a plastic, making sure no water can get through. After the waterproof membrane was up, it was time to start tiling. I started tiling around the tub first because those were the main lines that I needed everything else to balance to. The hardest part of the tile was doing the shower pan. Not only does it have to slope at the right angle, but I have to cut it into small pieces to make sure everything fits correctly. I needed to begin putting the concrete backer-board down on the floor next to the shower so I could make sure I had a waterproof seal. I continued putting up the tile around the bottom of the shower, on the shower walls, on the walls above the windows, and all around the edges. In some of these shots you can see the small tile leveling clips that I used to make sure that the tile, when it dried, would all be flat and level. The leveling clips work very well and make the finished product look very nice. The tile is almost done. All the walls are finished. I have to do around the windows and around the tub, but we're getting very close. Now it's time to take the old fiberglass countertop off. Being fiberglass, it was very heavy and hard to cut, but it finally came off, and I put the new countertop base on. I cut the holes in for the sink and got them ready for the new plumbing. The old bathroom had just one long light bar in it, but for the new bathroom, I wanted to have two separate lights, one over each sink. That required changing the wiring around a little bit and putting in two new electrical boxes, one for each light fixture. The next step was to put the tile on the countertops, put the sinks and faucets in, and connect all the plumbing. With the countertop done, and with the sinks and faucets all installed, it was time to start on the floor. I decided to use very large 24-inch by 24-inch tiles for the floor to minimize the number of grout lines and make sure that no water would ever get through onto the subfloor. The last and most challenging part of the tile was putting the tile around the edges of the tub and the shower step. These tiles had to be bull-nosed, meaning they had to have a rounded edge on them. I had to cut these all myself because you can't buy them in the right sizes. Well, I'm just about done with this project. One of the last steps was to put a wooden cap rail around the top of the tile to give the whole room a finished look and a clean edge to the tile. With a new towel rack and a nice new teak grate for the shower, I think we're done. So let's look back. Here was the original bathtub. Here's the new bathtub. Here was the original shower. Here's the new shower. Quite a difference.